And you are live.
Okay, what I don't have, Mark, is the language I'm looking for at that standard language, because I didn't, let me get it on one of the earlier.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I do not have the capability to share. I do not know why, but I don't.
Okay, let me just pull it up here.
No, the host disabled attendees screen.
That's the.
Is there a way for her to?
Yeah, I think.
Well, wait a minute, I can reclaim host from here because I'm signed in as Waterville Valley. I'm the host. Ha!
I don't know what that's going to do to Jim down here. We are live too, so.
I'm going to record this here too.
Okay, and I am just looking. I know I have it. Give me a second here. Trying to pull it off an earlier meeting. Okay.
You just got it in your email. Judy just sent it to you.
Thank you. Okay. I have supplanted. One second. I have supplanted Margaret, who is confined to a car, to chair this meeting. So let me read first the required language. As Vice Chair of the Board of Selectmen, due to the COVID-19 coronavirus crisis and in accordance with Governor Sununu's Emergency Order 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this board is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to the meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, this is to confirm that we are providing public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. We are utilizing the Zoom platform for this electronic meeting. Members of the board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through the Zoom platform. And the public has access to contemporaneously listen to the town YouTube channel. And if necessary, participate in this meeting through dialing the following phone number: 603-236-4730, or emailing townofwv@watervillevalley.org, or texting to 603-254-6708. All right, do I need to read the rest of this? I think that covers it.
I think you're good, Rich.
Very good. So let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states their presence. Also, please state whether there is anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law. So Rich Rita, Vice Chair.
Mike Aronson alone.
Margaret Turner in her car with
Okay.
Oh, I love it. Too much fun. Okay, Rich, would you like me to start?
Yep,
Can't
please,
hear me.
Mike. Mark, this is on the agenda, correct?
Yes, well, we've got two agenda items. The first
Okay.
one is the budget review numbers, and then to talk about summer camps.
Got it.
Okay? So I provided you with two spreadsheets. The first of the spreadsheets is titled Budget Review, Identification of Possible Town Operating Budget Reductions. Given that the school reduced their budget or is returning $100,000 from their 2019-2020 budget to the tax rate in October, department heads and I sat down as the board requested, and we looked at areas that we can reduce within the town budget to help alleviate the potential for lost revenue and things like that. So the first set of numbers are under the title Recommended Changes. And there's a series of operating budget line items. And well, it's a mix of both operating budget and capital items. But those are listed for you to look at. Those we feel, department heads and I feel we can make these changes. And the vehicle will be that we will basically underspend these line items and then return the $207,300 through fund balance, which the selectmen can vote to do at the time we set the tax rate, understanding that this money will then go back to fund balance, right? So we basically will not appropriate it. Okay? The tax impact of the 207 is the 63 cents per 1,000 that we're reducing. So I'd like to start with those recommended changes. And if you have any questions for the department heads on those items, we can answer those questions.
Mark? Yeah, Mark, what do we think that the total budget shortfall is going to be on the total revenue shortfall?
Well, Margaret, I really can't answer that question at this point because I don't know what the state is going to do about state revenues. We're about, what is it, Sharon, 25% behind on motor vehicles right now?
A little above 25, yep.
Yeah, about 27,
About
26,
27.
27%. Yeah. So those are major parts of our revenues. The other part of this is really on the tax collection itself, affecting the cash flow. Because if we were to spend all of these dollars and do all of the projects, just as an example, the plow truck, if we were to lease the new plow truck as what was appropriated at town meeting, we'd have to come up with that initial year of $35,000 to make the payment. it's not just a matter of on the revenue side, it's also on the cash flow side. How is that going to affect us? So we're kind of trying to do two different things at the same time. Does that make sense, Margaret?
Yeah, so we have a big question mark because we don't know what the impact from the state is gonna be.
So we've gone through the budget, and these are items that it's pretty easy to either cannot spend this money for those appropriated purposes for the rest of the year. Now, if you notice also in my notes on each one, there is an amount in some of the line items. We're not taking out the entire amount, because if we do have something like the water wastewater repair account, if we have a line that breaks or something, we're going to need money for that. So we've left $20,000 in there. But we can return the 25.
Yeah, Mike, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, Mark, I want to ask you a question. I'm sorry I didn't ask this question yesterday and the day before. But I think you probably are close to having the numbers fairly handy on this. We have a tradition of underspending our budget every year for the last 5 or 6 years anyways. And do you remember offhand what we underspent last year?
About 100,000.
And the year before?
It's about been roughly,
roughly, we come in between 100 and 135 under budget each year for the last 5, 6 years. Is that about right?
Yeah. But so, this amount is gonna capture that. I mean,
no,
these are the type of line items that we usually have something left in at the end of the year.
Gotcha. I just wanted to see if there was any kind of redundancy in this.
Yeah, I would say that the 100,000 from last year would be included in this 207.
If it's 207,000 as cuts, and if we ran as efficiently as we did in the.
I don't see it this year.
Okay, no, that was just my question.
Maybe,
and I have a question for Chris. I think the thermal imager was important because you talked about how outdated our old one was.
Yes.
How do you feel about that from a public safety point of view?
Well, our current one is still working. The problem we have with it is it's 15 years old. It's got a 10-year lifespan, could go at any time. It certainly doesn't prohibit us from doing our work. It just makes our work more efficient. So it's not a safety issue. It's more of a property damage issue. That if our thermal imager breaks and we have a fire in a wall, we can't pinpoint where the fire is. We have to take down a larger section of a wall or a roof or whatever. And that's if it fails.
All right.
There's one other thing I'd like to point out, Rich. On the library program supplies, we need to communicate. I have not communicated to the trustees about that decision. And that may be something that could be a soft cut at this point, if you will, where if we had some money in contingency, collections are better than we expect or something, that we could restore that at the end of the year if you wanted. It's not a big amount of money to begin with.
Yeah, but didn't we go into the year with a huge surplus on the library?
They do have a surplus. Yes.
I think they should probably understand that if they need it, it's there, but they've got money to spend, so it's not leaving them destitute.
Yeah, and absolutely, and I'm willing to communicate that to them. I just want to point out that that's one that we need.
What caught my eye was some of the recommended changes as compared to possible discretionary changes. And I picked up on the thermal imager and the road striping. I just wonder if those are more important than fully funding AIA or the Historical Society this year in terms of important services to the town and fireworks, frankly.
Yeah. I agree, Rich.
Yeah, I
think
wonder
health
if we,
safety items should take a priority, and also maintenance items that would come in, like the sludge drying and the carbon filter replacement.
yeah, I'd be much more comfortable eliminating or taking advantage of the discretionary changes before some of the other recommended changes. Margaret, I see you're on now.
Just barely.
Would you like to reclaim your crown?
No, go ahead. Better.
All righty. So what's your view on the matter concerning the possible discretionary changes?
Well, this is the question I keep saying. I'm thick about this. I don't understand how much we're trying to replace. What's our goal?
The first goal that I had was to reduce what we really felt was unnecessary. I did not have a number targeted.
Mm-hmm.
We proposed a budget that had an increase of 30 cents, right?
Right.
And we know that rec revenues are going to be substantially lower. So we're going to have to adjust those. There's a question about whether or not the state is going to provide all of the funding that we anticipated from the state.
And what did we anticipate from the state?
We had state revenue, so we had 14.3 in highway aid. We had 12.6. So there's 27, about 27,000 plus another 2,500. So about $30,000.
Okay, 30,000 from there, and
Yeah.
Depending on which option you choose on rec department, there's what, a 35, is it 35? No, it's $35,000 difference potentially. So that's up to 70,000.
Yeah, and then if you take a quarter of the motor vehicle, that's an additional 40,000. So there's a little over 100, right? 110.
Okay.
Take out some room and meals.
Well, I already did.
Okay.
That's the meals. Yeah, we took out 12.6, 12.7 of.
About half of what we get.
So so we also, I have no idea what's going to happen with the revenue from the fact that on water and sewer, with the fact that the lodging may be way down. We could be 10 or 20% on that, and that would be another $50,000 to $60,000.
So we're talking something that's in the range of 200,000.
Yeah.
And that's what you propose to eliminate.
Well, that's on the recommended changes, yes.
Right.
So
do you think we need to go further than that?
I really don't know. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, basically what we're saying is that if we're missing $200,000 in revenue and we take this $200,000 in expenses, we're hoping to get back to the original tax rate that we were talking.
Correct.
Right?
That's correct. I'm talking just the town side. I'm looking at the 30 cents as part of it.
Right, and so we had talked about if we do these things, it's 200 versus 200 basically, and we're back to so much of this is guesses and we'll know more as we go on. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just that if we don't start identifying these now, it's getting harder and harder to impact the budget in any meaningful way.
Right.
So, and then the question becomes the one that Rich asked: do we think that we need to take from the recommended change line, or are the other discretionary changes that we have on our list, do we want to replace some of the operational items, right, with these items which are basically the third parties,
Right.
in lieu of making the changes in the operating budget? So, because we're going to start getting requests, and we already are receiving requests to make these payments.
Okay. Is the Historical Society seem to be on the fence as to whether they really needed the money this year? Is that correct?
Yes.
Is that an area that's listed under discretionary?
Yes. 10,000.
Okay.
And that's the sort of thing, do you take that out and maybe put the thermal imager back in? Or
Yeah, what Rich was talking.
Yeah, I'd also look at the AIA support and the fireworks. That's another 17,000.
Okay,
That we could
quick
use.
question. Do you think we owe the courtesy to these groups who've applied and been granted this money to talk to them before we cut it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just want to be sure that we're not going to go forward without having discussions with them. But I agree with Rich on some of these cuts. You know, the fireworks is one.
so
The other question I have, if I could, Mark,
yeah,
with regard to the transit services, will the trolley be running?
not.
But we still have to pay the 25,000?
Well, we're continuing to get bills from them, and we have right along. So we need to know, because as far as I know, they may run the trolley. It depends on what the state requirements are, as far as for running public transportation. So I don't know if they can limit it to just a couple of people. I don't know what the plan is. But the Shoes buses didn't run for the last part of the season.
Right.
And I'm assuming that there'll be some sort of reduced service for the trolley.
And I had the same general question on the race center. Are they going to run their program in full? That they need all?
They're not running them in full, but they are running programs. And if you remember, the town portion was, I believe, around 20 or 25% of their total budget.
Right.
Brooke, have you heard anything about the trolleys? Have you had a conversation with them on that?
I have not, and I actually never had a conversation with them about it specifically.
Has anything been mentioned at the Resort Association, Brooke?
No, there's an emergency meeting on Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brooke, are we allowed to use our rec department buses? Because I thought I saw somewhere that someone was doing that.
We're allowed to use, but there's guidance basically that gives you, half the capacity.
Right.
That it is, which makes it, it's possible. Are you talking about for camps?
It's not even big enough for one group, right? At half capacity.
Right.
I got you.
I mean, that's the situation today. I don't know about the trolley, and that would be a nice thing to know because it is open air.
Yeah, and I haven't heard anything about transportation in general.
But I can't see anything, well, I'll see if there's,
I mean, Mark, can we do something like give the race center the 25 and tell them we're holding the other 10 until later?
I was actually thinking the 10,000 was in a separate warrant article that was voted specifically for them.
Okay,
I think giving them that right away and
Yeah.
then saying we're gonna hold the other 25 because that's in the total budget,
right.
that's more under the selectmen's purview.
But they may be able to, we may decide later in the year to give the rest of it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't want to, I think their programs, I mean, I would think that they're not going to be able to do their pre-K camp.
well, they're looking at it to see if they
Okay.
can.
All right. Well, I don't want them to totally run out of money, but on the other hand, if it's something we can save in our pocket and look at later, that would be good.
Okay, so we'll give them the 10,000 now with the caveat that we'll see where we are in a couple of months on the other 25.
Right.
Okay,
And I've read about the Shakespeare in the Valley program this year, and I don't think, from what I read, that they're going to do a kids camp, right? And they're going to collect from parents for the kids camp. But I don't think they're planning performances here at this point in time.
not that I've heard.
Right, but I mean, what I heard was that they were going to have a traveling group that was going to perform in courtyards of elder places and that kind of thing.
Yep, I do know that the town's gonna be the majority of their support this year.
Right. Right.
If we provide it.
And who else is on that list? WVAIA?
WVAIA,
Are they doing stuff with the trails?
Brooke, have you heard from Dan?
I'm not aware of anything right now with the trails.
Okay.
Do you want me to have a conversation with the AIA?
Yeah, just to find out what's going on with them, because, the trails are tied into our hiking, which is going to go on regardless. And I want to make sure that we don't mess up our improved reputation for hiking by not maintaining our trails appropriately.
Okay. All right. Rich, the Historical Society, are you feeling that they're okay without the 10,000? Wait till next year?
I would want to double hat myself and speak for them, but because I'm not even on the board of directors, I'm just.
You just go, okay.
But I do participate in their meetings as an officer.
Yeah, do you want to have that conversation?
I could talk to Reggie about it, but it seems to me that from what I recall,
I think I have.
they're delaying things.
Yeah, don't I have an email or something where she said that back in April or late March? I thought that you guys had some sort of discussion about that. I thought she might have emailed.
Yeah, she did. We've been talking about, we've had, I think, a couple meetings during this period about delaying things that we were going to do, like hiring an intern and so forth, because of the COVID issue. And
Okay.
I think that money, that 10,000 was going to help with that. So
Right.
I would say, let me talk to them, but
Right.
I think that is less important than several of the other things, that and the fireworks.
So when, on the fireworks, so what I'm hearing is we're gonna cancel until the 4th of July next year. We're not gonna try to do a different weekend later in the year if the restrictions lift.
I think we should wait till next year.
I agree.
Yeah, it's just not the same if you have the 4th of July on the 4th of September.
Well, it's the best we can do. It's COVID. So, all right. So I'll contact Atlas and postpone till next 4th of July.
How critical were the I see you have under discretionary guardrail repairs.
Well, Jim, you want to comment on that?
Well, we've had several, people comment on, they are in rough shape. And would have to do some we've already put some Band-Aids on them, but we'd have to put some more duct tape on them or something to make them a little more safe than what they are right now.
Maybe literally.
Literally.
Yeah. I'd really like to do the guardrails. I'd like to get them on order and get working on them. Because they, like Jim said, they're in really bad shape.
Yeah, that's my feeling as well.
If you're looking for between 200 and 250, I think we can get there and still do the guardrails.
Okay.
Okay, good. They're off the list.
I just don't see a way to do 4th of July fireworks with a limitation of 10 people.
No, definitely not for the 4th. We all were kind of looking at an alternate date, and they obviously would not be 4th of July fireworks. They'd be something else, but we can just save the money to next year. That's not a problem. And because we're going to have a deposit in, we can lower the amount in the 21 budget. So that'll help in 21.
Okay.
All right. So we are going to, do you want us to go ahead with the thermal imager or just wait?
Yes.
Until we
Yes.
get some further read?
I agree.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, if I
Yes.
can just interject, if we can go back to the guardrails for just 1 second, just so that
Yeah.
everybody is clear, that is the guardrails on the bridge on West Branch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not other guardrails in town. That's another 30. If we decided to do something about those. And the ones on Snow's Brook would be included in the work that we hopefully will do in the future. The road work.
Okay. All right. Anything else? So do you want me to speak to Donna about Shakespeare? Do you want me to get more information on the camps, or what do you want me to do?
No, I would just talk to her and find out. You don't want to put her under, is what I'm saying. But I'm hoping that she's offering in Waterville Valley are basically going to be funded by the tuition paid by the kids' parents.
Okay. I will ask her about tuition.
And you're going to check with AIA and Transit and Race Center about their status?
Yes, we'll get a read on the trolley Yeah.
And any money that's freed up there, I think if you have a priority list under the recommended changes, aside from the thermal imager, that's where the money should go, obviously.
Okay. Yeah, we've cut a lot out of these capital accounts, and that's where I would put it back in. But we need to do the assessment, especially at the wastewater treatment plant. Before we commit to doing the aeration system and sludge drying, et cetera, and all the carbon filter, those 3 projects. That was more of creating a capital reserve than anything else, so that we could do emergency repairs if we needed to, and then have money when we get into the replacement. So that'll be the area where we primarily go back to. These other operating lines are, if we need to do them, we can do some of them out of contingency if we absolutely have to.
Right. So, will you be putting together for our next meeting
I'll revise the list.
and then we can vote on it at that time?
Yeah.
Is that agreeable, Mike and Margaret?
Mike, yes.
Mark, do you have everything?
Yes.
Margaret, yes. Mark, you have information from us about what direction to take?
Yes, I'll have those communications with the different organizations, and I'll update this list, and we'll go from there. On this part of the budget, we do need to talk about the rec part of the budget. And
Right.
That's the next topic, right?
yes, so Mike's frozen. Is anyone seeing that also?
No, Mike looks good.
Yeah, Mike looks good. Margaret's frozen.
Okay.
Margaret's frozen. Yeah.
I'm not frozen where I'm seeing me.
There you go. You're good now. All right, can we move on to summer camps?
Yep, so that's the second agenda item.
Yeah. And that's the second spreadsheet. So what we showed you 3 columns on that spreadsheet, right? We showed you the existing revenues and appropriations and revenues, existing, which is the first column, for selected line items among the appropriations and the revenues. Then we showed you 2 different potential options. We showed you the first one, an adjustment 1, which is, bless you, which is doing summer camps, what we can address or adjust those line items in both the appropriations and the revenues, right? Both recreation and parks. And then adjustment 2 is basically eliminating all the seasonal and part-time positions in the budget, leaving us with the 3 full-timers who will run a very limited amount of programming throughout the rest of the year. So we can go down through. The other part of this is at the very top, I showed you the revenue and appropriation balance number that we shared with town meeting, showing the deficit of $267,000. If we make adjustment 1 and run the summer camps, the revenues and the appropriations change to the numbers in the first box, and the deficit goes to 302,000 for the year. If we do adjustment 2 with eliminating camps and all of the general programming for the most part, and have just the 3 full-timers on, the revenues drop down to the $34,000 number, and the balance or the deficit goes to 282,177. So basically, we either lose 35,000 by running the camp, 35,000 more than we projected by running the camps, or we lose 15,000 more by
Not running the camps.
not running the camps.
The difference, let me open the discussion. So really, the difference between camp, no camp is about $20,000. And, which, all things considered, to my mind, is not a lot of money. It's more a question of, Brooke, what do you think about running the camps? I mean, 20,000, frankly, we can come up with 20, even if it means taking something else out of the budget.
Well, with
In my
the sort of procedures that we gave to you, do align with what the guidance that came out says. So, I think we would be able to meet what the guidance asks of us. So I guess the decision from there is yours.
Right. I guess I'm asking for your professional opinion. Is it worth it? I mean, given all the things that you have to do, I think from a town standpoint, it's worth it because it would be good to have a program for children over the summer, as difficult as it may be. But from your professional experience, how good do you think that program is really going to be? I'm taking the financial aspect out of it.
Sure. Obviously this is a new situation that would be hard for me to draw experience to help make this ultimate decision. But I do think, like I said, that we can follow the guidance that was given. I'm not sure if that's reason enough to run camp. I don't think it eliminates the risk, but based on what we've been seeing so far, it seems like we could do it.
Okay.
But again, I think it's just ultimately a kind of a risk assessment for the town.
Okay. Mark?
Yeah, Rich.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Rich, the other thing to note here, and Mike and I did have a conversation yesterday afternoon. Mike, one of the things that you said was about isolating or keeping the camps out, kind of away from the public or, protected or however you want to term it. I think Brooke and I have said in the past that that's not going to be the case. The camps, because she doesn't have her field trips were being planned, and there's not a lot of ways to drive them around unless something substantially changes with the trolley. Those camps are going to be very much in people's faces. I mean, because we're going to have to set something up on Packard's Field. We're going to, tent, and we're going to have kids walking around the valley. So they are going to be a major
Right.
visible.
Mark, but I think the camp can make it clear that the tent is for the camp and not to be used by other people. And that people will get in the habit of understanding and seeing the group of camp kids. And if they have a concern about exposing themselves to the camp kids, they will have the opportunity to get away from them. I don't see the kids using the same facilities and being in the same rooms as the seniors in town. I think, because they're identified by shirts and by group leaders, the seniors in town are smart enough and have the ability to, what we do now when we cross the street and we see someone walking too close to us on the other side of the street.
Right, no, I just wanted to make it clear. I just want to
Yes,
make it clear.
That's why I'm speaking, because I want to make it clear to the people that have expressed a concern of the camp. I think another thing that's got to be paid attention to is the parents coming in, dropping off, picking up, and the kids who are coming in and doing the camps as counselors and things who are from out of the valley, you know, come and go. You know, it just, you know, as a basic thought and rule and guideline to make our seniors feel more comfortable.
Yeah. And I guess it's your assessment as a board as to whether or not the community's comfortable with us running the camps.
And I guess also, if I could add, just for the people out there, is that most of the kids that do our camps and that are signed up this summer are already here. They're already kind of part of the community. There's not very many that would be coming in, you know, that aren't already kind of exposed to this community right now, currently. There's you know, a couple of instances I know where people live like that would be coming in, and we would require them to be here for 2 weeks prior to them starting in our camps. That would have to be clear.
Yeah, I think you got from what I've read, Brooke, you've got the methodology down. I just think it's important that as we make the decision, we let the whole town know what a good job you've done with your proposal. You know, we've seen it, they haven't. And how you paid attention to these concerns.
Definitely, it's been a team effort, and we haven't taken it seriously.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, can you hear me? No?
Yep.
Okay. I just wanted to that I believe that the guidance in the day camps from the governor is not that they have to quarantine themselves for 14 days in New Hampshire. I believe they only have to attest that they quarantined themselves 14 days somewhere.
From the 5 questions, the have you done international travel? Have you all of that? Yes. I think you're right, Margaret.
Well, what do you? I'm not following, because I feel like they would need to quarantine in New Hampshire for 2 weeks. Like, for example, if we have someone coming from out of the country, wouldn't they need to quarantine for 14 days in New Hampshire?
I think that's specific to out of the country. When they came up with the guidelines for hotels. Go ahead, Margaret.
No, I thought that I had read under the day camp guidance that the individuals had to attest that they had quarantined themselves 14 days. That it didn't mean in the state. And the reason I bring it up is because there was a legal case in Maine, and the judge in the legal case found for the people who said they don't have to quarantine in Maine for 14 days. So it's just something to pay attention to. I thought that was something that was different.
I think the guideline has moved, Margaret. I think the initial guideline was you need to 14-day quarantine when you came to New Hampshire. But according to the lodging guidelines, to rent a room in New Hampshire now, all you have to do is attest that you quarantined 14 days somewhere else.
That's how I read the date as well. If you look at, Mark, perhaps you can quickly look, but it's in the folder, the pamphlet you sent us on Stay at Home 2. I read it that way too. You need to just you need to attest that you've quarantined for.
Okay, so that, I'm not finding that right now. I'm looking at it. I've understood it to be 14 days in New Hampshire, and even if it's not the guidance, I think it's important to have it be the guidance.
Brooke, I think you're correct. I think in the summer camp guidance, it is 14 days in New Hampshire for day camp.
Yeah, it's right here. It's like the 4th bullet point on the 2nd page, or on the very first page. It's for staff and for campers. day camp staff and attendees, to be residents of New Hampshire or out-of-state staff who have met a 14-day quarantine requirement.
Boy,
That's ambiguous. That's not what, I thought it was a 14-day New Hampshire.
yeah, I read that
I think
somewhere too.
I think it means New Hampshire. I don't think it's very clear in that sentence, but
No, it's
for
not.
everything leading up to this, they're talking about New Hampshire.
Except Bruce, I think we have a problem.
Yeah, I want to.
And I think that makes us more safe as a community. Hey, Chris Hodges or Dave Noyes, you guys have any thoughts on this from a public safety point?
I think you guys.
And another consideration, which I forgot to, well, Mark knew about it, but when we were sitting down and doing the numbers for you, we forgot to do it, is that would be another $10,000 expense to get the tent and the porta potties in order to make it happen. And I apologize, that didn't make it on the sheet.
You're muted, Mark.
Trying to be nice to you. So we would have to add that in. It'll increase those net change numbers by the 10,000. So it'll be 45 and 25. It's still a $20,000 difference. It's just in the appropriation.
Well, it seems to me, at least, that the Waterville Valley summer day camps have been one of the crown jewels of Waterville Valley. I remember going back into the 70s and even later, and people always talk about what a great time at the camp. So I think we're concluding that the financial part of it is doable. The recreation director is willing to give it a shot and come up with procedures to do it. And that perhaps we may have a little bit of work to do with informing the town residents about it. If we decide to go forward with with running the day camp starting the July 6th. Now, on that last point, perhaps you can schedule a public meeting if anyone wants to attend and ask any questions about it.
Yeah, we could mention that at the community. We can mention it at the community meeting tomorrow, and just say that we're going to move forward with camps, and we'll have a public input meeting that people are going to be able to attend, like the community forum, and we can put out the information and take the commentary back. What do you think, Brooke? Oop. Yes, she is.
Sorry, I dropped off. Last thing I heard was it's financially doable.
Yeah, and Rich was just saying that maybe we can have a community forum meeting.
And you should announce it at the code meeting as well.
Yeah, exactly. So we can announce it tomorrow at the community Zoom meeting, and then announce it on Wednesday at the COVID update. And then we can hold that and give people the information and take comments from them.
Are we talking about summer camp?
Yeah, summer camp.
Taking comments about the possibility or the fact that we're doing it?
The fact that we're doing it.
Okay.
Well, Brooke, do you want to do it is the question. You're the one who's taking this.
I mean, yes, we can do it.
Yep.
We can do it. I just want, I guess I really want the support of you three and the community that we can do it, and that we are accepting some risk in doing it, but we feel that we can do it.
Yep.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Change my mind.
Can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
You're paying, Margaret.
Oh dear.
You might want to turn off your video.
Can you hear me now?
No, you're showing muted and you're,
Showing you muted, Margaret.
Yeah. Sorry.
There she is.
No, we can hear you.
I'm showing. Oh, you can hear me now? Okay. I have changed my mind about this over time. 6 weeks ago, I would have said there's no way that we can possibly do this. But the combination of the work that Brooke has done, plus the fact that we're not starting until the 6th of July, gives me more confidence. Did everybody hear that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Mark, do you need anything from us, other than, our affirmation here now in this forum?
No, I think this is good. I'll redo the rec sheet as well so that you have the updated numbers to include the tent and the porta potties. And Brooke will finalize the her information and her operations plan, and then we'll go from there.
And Mark, I think that you had a question about masks. I think that we should request that all of the camp participants have a mask with them.
Okay.
We ought to have some available in case somebody forgets theirs, but I think they can have them with them. And if got ear loops, like most of them have, there's a way to put the ear loops in the back, and they can wear it around their neck and they don't need it on their face.
So we do have a solution to that, Margaret. We'll have masks available at the rec department. But what we're doing is we want to order, instead of a t-shirt, we want to order these things they call tubies that go around their neck. They're kind of like, they can be worn as headbands or neck, and they can just pull them over their mouth. So they would probably be much more likely to wear.
Okay.
Just like this. Something
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you go rob a bank or two in town, right?
That's right. Then you go rob a bank.
Very good. Is that all on the agenda, Mark?
Can
I
I
think
add,
so.
can I add something, Mark? And I
Sure.
didn't
Yeah,
talk
go
to you
ahead.
about it in advance, so sorry, I'm just popping this out. But, a number of people have requested the season boat pass, and it doesn't feel good if we're only open 2 days a week right now. That's our plan, to start, once summer gets going, to charge them the full price. So I was going to see if maybe we could cut the seasonal boat pass price in half for this summer. So usually it's $120 for a family for unlimited boat rentals. I'm suggesting we ask for $60 this summer for unlimited boat rentals.
I think you might really need to look at that, Brooke, because if you're looking at just cash revenues this season, that might deplete your cash revenues by 40-50% on what we projected.
Well, we're projecting 50.
Yeah, the seasonal boat rental from this is only for residents of Waterville.
Oh, no, I understand what it is, but I think that's all you're gonna get this year, is seasonal boat rentals. And when the boats are going to be in such short supply because what we have to do with the flotation devices, that, I would run just some numbers on that before you get to it. Because it might seriously knock us out, because if you have all your rentals being people that are, calling and reserving, the people that are in town that know when the boats are available, that are reserving the boats and have the pass, there might not be an opportunity for any full retail sales.
Mm-hmm. I guess I was kind of thinking along the lines of usually they had 7 days a week to rent, but now they'd only have 2.
Yeah, but they're gonna be the ones calling you and knowing the 2 days are open. So you might not be able to have any boats to rent to somebody who's coming in, because all the families know they're open those days.
Are you saying,
only
Mike,
those days.
we ought to maybe just do away with the seasonal passes this summer?
Yeah, that would make sense. And maybe have some kind of like native discount, native ID discount.
Well, that is the native ID discount because it's easy to manage. When we're down at the waterfront, we don't really have access to verify that someone is or is not a native ID member. So that's been the approach. But you know, I'm happy to do whatever.
Let's just think about it for a little bit, because I would just think that it's going to be such a limited quantity of opportunity, and we're going to have so many families that are going to be here all summer.
Mm-hmm.
With people looking for activities, that you might sell out with boats before you even open. You know, with people knowing that 2 days they're open.
Okay.
Unless we can get better guidance on those flotation device things. Did you have a chance to get back to the guy up in Franconia?
I talked to him. He was actually going to get back to me, and he hasn't yet. But we did order those life jackets, so those will be arriving this week.
Yeah. I think there's got to be a better way than having those have to sit for 72 hours.
Yeah, and I'm sure that I'm hopeful that will change. I really am. Yeah. But just to give you a little report, we did open boats on Saturday, and there were only 3 rentals. So that, you know, our staff was there from 10, you know, we were doing a training, and it was kind of on Friday, and then on Saturday it was sort of an on-site training. So we had more than we needed just to get everyone familiar with the new system. And 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock, there were only 3 families that came to rent. So, yeah. You know, that's not a lot.
Yeah. Now, from what I'm hearing from second homeowners and people looking for rentals for the summer up here, that we'll see a lot of people up here midweek that we normally haven't in the past.
Okay. So just leave the seasonal boat rental price the same for now. The member, you know. Okay.
I had, speaking very quickly, I know we've gone over an hour, but this is a question for anybody. I noticed that, I assume it was the resort had cut down all the trees and brush behind the pergola, all the way to the pond.
They talked to me, Rich,
Okay.
and those are areas that they have cleared in the past for the photographs.
Right.
And they left sufficient cut before.
Okay. Anybody have anything else at this point? Margaret, I don't see you, but I see you're there.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I can hear you though. Mike, everything okay?
Good as it's gonna get.
All right, if no one has anything else, would someone like to make a motion to adjourn at 4:12 p.m.?
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Mike?
Was that a second, Margaret?
Second, Margaret.
All right. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you very much, everyone, and I'll get you updated information tomorrow morning, probably. Oh, and I wanted to point out too that we have submitted our grant application. I sent you